This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to this session. My name is Stephen Kumani, and I'll be taking through some of the simple analysis that I did with Power BI. And this is building an analysis solution using Power BI. Today, we're going to talk about just a simple analysis, and we're going to go through a couple of things and a couple of items that we are going to talk about. So in this analysis, let's just first go through what the analysis look like, what it will be the end product, and what do we expect from it. And I'm going to go through some examples. So one of the key things is that we are going to analyze some of the sales data set that we have. We integrate multiple dimensions, which we call them fact tables in the Power BI. Generate some interactive dashboards for insights. Then we're going to talk about product demands, patterns, region differences, and also vendor optimization, depending on what you want to analyze. So this course is a bit short. If you want to know more about Power BI, you can go learn more about Power BI online, and there's so many materials online. And later we're going to talk about what will be the actionable recommendation that we can provide to the management of the organization in this case. So the main goal of this conversation is to analyze the sales sales data using Power BI. We are going to have four dimension tables, which are going to load them into the Power BI from our SQL server, and then we're going to import that data into Power BI. Then we're going to create a calendar out of it, and then start creating some reporting out of it. Then try to say what will be the actionable insight from the management point of view. So the way the data model are is that we have the sales table, we have the calendar table, relationships. Also, we have the dimension, we have the products, and all these tables, several of them are in a star schema structure where we have different relationship, mainly from one-to-one relationship and many-to-many relationship. And this is what you're going to look at in this discussion. So how do we take everything from one point to the other? So we're going to look at the methodology of what we have in this sense. So step one is we're going to load the data, then transform that data. Then we create a calendar, then create using the DAX. DAX is the language that when you're writing a query in the Power BI, this is what you're going to write. More like when you say select everything from this specific table or select everything from the sales table where the date is this or the product is this or the amount of this. Now, that is when you're writing an SQL statement. When it comes to Power BI, you write a DAX file. Then we define the relationship among the tables. Remember, this is a sales team, and what we talk about is we have sales, we have vendors, we have product, we have items, we have salesperson. So how do all these things, how do we then create a relationship between all these tables? Then so once we identify the relationship, then is building now the measures. The measures are creating the table. Let's say we want to see how many sales we have made on a specific by the specific vendor for a specific product. So all these three tables, we can create them. We create what we call measures on them. So then we're going to identify. So after we done that, at the end of the day, we're going to have a unit sold by product name, and this we're going to identify the top selling product, highlighted performing, underperforming products, guide inventory and marketing strategies, analyze the product demand trend over time. So we're going to see how do we then consume this data to the sales department, to the product department, or to the marketing department, or whichever department. How do they consume this data? So, and this is by when you're looking at the unit sold by product. Then you can look at units sold by the year. So, how do we observe the yearly sales? How has been the year? Do we have a growth pattern or an increase pattern, or do we have an increase pattern? How do we then evaluate the marketing effectiveness during the marketing? Did we see any increase in sales, or did we saw a decrease, or was this relative? Then from there, we can understand the seasonality or annual performance of this specific product. Then we can also check by units sold by region. We compare which region we are selling more, which we are having less, and why are we having less, or how many products are we selling on specific region. Then highlight the high performing regions, identify regions with the need attention, then support the region's sales and staffing decision based on this specific data. Then also we can talk about how then do we categorize the vendors. So we can say how much are store sales and in the vendor. So we identify the vendor performing by the region. So in this specific region that we just talked about a second ago, is then we identify who are the vendors in that specific region and how are they relating. So then opportunities for optimization. We look at the sales, regional sales strategy. What are the insights? How do we then strategize on the sales? Then inform vendor and negotiations, supply chain, and all that. Then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to create a calendar table and features extraction. And this will be to support time-based analysis, weekend, workday, weekend trends, insights, monthly, weekly sales pattern evaluation, and also enable dynamic reporting within the DAX function. There, as I mentioned earlier, this is a function within the Power BI that allows you to write queries, to write functions that extract it the way you want it. So later, you can advance. This just some other examples that are of DAX within the Power BI, and this is how you can create all these resources or queries for you to extract different data on different aspects. Then, what are the insights? So, and what are the recommendations that we can gather out of this? So we can still look at the top product and on the regional based identification, event opportunities and optimization, trends in sales and seasonality observed. And what you can look at the recommendation is that we adjust the marketing strategy, allocate resources to high potential region, negotiate with vendors based on the regional performance. So some of the recommendations that we can look. However, we can look at these recommendations. We also have some limitation that we can look at. So the data set also is limited by the historical sales of sales only, meaning the only data that we have will only give that the analysis of that specific one. If you have like a 1 year worth of data, that is the amount of data that we're going to do analysis for. So no customer demographic information available. If there is, well and good. If not, then that brings us as another limitation. Then focusing is not included in the current scope at this moment that we are looking at. So the next step is under our next time, we're going to look at how do we then add the customer segmentation on our analysis so that we can see how is the consumer doing in terms of the analysis. Then introductive predictive focusing models. And this is when I start using machine learning. Also, we talk about AI, where we take this data and analyze it, and then we're able to predict how the market will look like, how the vendor will look like in the near future. Or we can also do the analysis, and we can literally manually get the focus. Then automate data refresh, use schedule updates. And in Power BI, basically, you just refresh the data. If the data was stored in the database and the data is being updated frequently, then in the Power BI, you literally go in and refresh. What we can do is we can automatically automate the refresh so that we have live data into our analysis. And in conclusion, that we can conclude that Power BI using DAX transform raw data into actionable insights without needing to do a lot of coding, not much coding that is required. Then we are able to visualize and also make data-driven decisions. And when you come to talk about, we add the calendar table, we're able to enhance the temporal analysis based on time-based analysis. Then at the end of it, we have the answer to empower strategy planning and also operational efficiency. So, and lastly, if you have any question, please don't just you can respond to me on this channel, or you can write on my email, and I'll leave my handle at the end of this presentation. Thank you so much and have a good time.